Happy Tuesday, last Tuesday of October. Uh, only 2 months left of the year. This year is almost done. Go figure that one out. It's great to see you. I know I haven't been here for a couple of weeks, but it's been health issues for that. So now I'm back and I'm excited about today's conversation. But first, I want to start off with, as I always do, check in on those around you. Check in on those who, especially when you know they've gone through something over the past week, month, year, medical, family, any kind of an issue they've gone through and basically trudged through. Because so often we're there when it happens and we're putting in that support. But once they start smiling, once it looks like they're doing fine, too often we're like, oh, they're doing fine, and we kind of forget. And remember how all of us are really good at putting on a mask. So when you see somebody and you know they've been through something, then just check on them, see how they're doing. And if they say fine, dig a little deeper. Fine is feelings inward, not expressed. That's how Agape put it. And I just love running with that. Double check, because fine can be a conversation killer. Think about grocery stores. When somebody's like, how you doing? You say fine and off to the next thing. So check in on them and make sure they are doing okay. I want to start with my sponsors. My dear sis, Dr. Constance Leland, Level Up Academy. Yeah, we've both been on the quiet side, but hopefully things are about to turn around. And here is somebody that she just has this ability to see so much. She's in education. She is there to help people. And I've seen how she helps everybody that falls within her circle. She has access to all of these different publications, different industries. She does press releases. She has a live stream, a podcast. She's going to have her TV show again. Not sure what the schedule is going to be on that. But here's the thing. If you've got something, you want to get it out there. You want to let the world know about a book that's coming up, a new project. You're starting a new branch to your business, whatever it is. Touch base with CJ. See how, and go over it with her. She's there to help, and she understands SEO and being able to maximize your effectiveness. However, she's also very good at seeing if you're ready. You may think you're ready, but you may not be ready. When you talk with her, she'll be able to see it. And if she sees it, you're ready to go. If she sees that there's a couple of things that maybe you should do to improve or should change, she'll let you know, so that when you do promote, when she helps you to promote, you're at your best potential. The Hounds of Business Community. Here's a group, Mike Ashebrainer. When I think of the Hounds, I think of collaboration over competition. Here's a group that's really what I've seen so much of. People will collaborate within that group. You might think, oh, these people are doing the same thing, but they're really not. Their audiences are different. The targets are going to be a little bit different, and their approach is going to be different. I mean, we got 8 billion people in this world. No one person is going to fit all 8 billion people. So when you do collaborate, you get a chance to reduce some of that anxiety. You get to learn from each other. You get to lift each other up. And you may find that you gain a really strong advocate, a friend, connection, maybe even that person that becomes your inner circle for belonging. So check out the Hounds of Business and talk to Mike Ashebrainer, because here's a group. There's a lot of different people in the community, so many opportunities that you can have when you start talking with them. And then my sis Danielle with C&M Consulting. CMC C&M Consultants is a leading management and advisory consulting firm that specializes in human resources. And this is something that Sis is really good at. Um, she's very empathy driven. And so CMC is empathy driven and heart led solutions. That's what they're looking to do to help you grow. They ensure compliance with regulatory requirements while fostering a culture of trust and workplace excellence, making that workplace feel safe. Because when we have a workplace that feels safe, we have a workspace where we feel we belong. We feel that it can be home instead of always looking for a reason to leave, always having to kind of hide who you are. When you can belong, you can open up, you get to give your best ideas, and then the company in turn is going to be a better place to work. I always throw up the Bella Grace. CJ swears by it, and I've seen it. I got to try a sample of it. I'm looking forward to the point when I can do more for the elixir, because it's an amazing. It really does make a difference. CJ's had the creator of the elixir on with her. I think that was about a month ago. So check it out, because CJ's one who looks at everything that's in it. What's the testing? She wants to make sure it's okay, and before she even suggests it to anybody, and that's what I've seen. It's good, and quite frankly, I love everything from Bella Grace. I've had their lip balm. I have now they've got something new called Bella Melts, and they have they have so many different things. The Bella Melts though is brand new, and it's basically a salted caramel that's designed to also help increase metabolism. So check out Bella Grace, scan the QR code here, and look it up, see what's there. And then I want to I'll put this up real quick because I know my sis, they're still dealing with this. Like I said, check on those around you. And my dear sis, and basically our niece, CJ, and my niece, Elise, had a case where she ended up with Kawasaki disease. It was like she graduates from kindergarten, and within a week she's in the hospital with Kawasaki disease. Only 6 years old, and it just whacks a child's future when you got to deal with this. So check it out. I know Danielle's doing a lot of things focused on, because of this, Kawasaki disease, and helping kids who are going through similar. She's doing a lot on this. So scan it, information, pass it on. We just want to take care of our sis, and prayers. We're constantly praying for sis. And then the last thing I want to put up, we haven't dived into this yet, but we are going to do. This is the next anthology that CJ and I are going to do, In the Space Between, and it's going to be coming up. Probably in the next month or two. But we just want to get the word out, because how many of us, quite frankly, are in that space between right now? We're in that space where where you were and where you're going, we're navigating in the middle. And how often do we see in social media, they talk about, all you see is, yes, this is where I was, and now this is how great I'm doing. But they never talk about what happened in the middle. And a lot happens in the middle, and sometimes it's not pretty, but it's necessary to get from where you were to where you're going, so that where you're going is an awesome direction, a great place. So I just wanted to put that up there. And I am excited for today, because I have um, Dr. Eugene Manley on today, and we're going to talk about all the stuff that he's been doing. And, as I do, I'm just going to bring him up and we're going to dive into this because you never know what's happening. And I know you're doing so much already that I just want to give you a chance to start with a little bit about yourself and what you're doing and how you got into this.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on here to be able to chat with you today. So I'll try to give you the short, condensed answer, which is the short version is, I do a lot of work in patient advocacy, workforce development, and educating underserved patients about navigating the cancer care continuum. But where I came from, I grew up in Detroit, first gen scholar. Grew up with chronic conditions, chronic asthmatic. So I was in the hospital 20 to 30 times a year. And I didn't know I was going to do a career in medicine. I kind of had a hunch because I was so sick, but I just always did my own thing. I was in engineering, interested in engineering and biology, and they ended up doing a degree in mechanical engineering, did one in biomedical engineering, and then I got back into the hard biology with the PhD in molecular and cell biology. And then I just transitioned through the postdoctoral fellowships and then went into the nonprofit space and worked in grant writing and foundational work, and then grant administration, and then developing mentorship and training programs and engaging with underserved populations about cancer disparities. And lo and behold, little did I know I would launch my own nonprofit 2 years ago. If you had asked me that 5 years ago, I would have looked at you like you were ridiculous.
I have a feeling a lot of those nonprofits start like that. I mean, CJ and I've kind of played around with that idea too. I've had ideas. It's like I'd love to start up a nonprofit. I've got ideas, but then it's like, how do you make it happen? And here you made it happen. It just came out of, as you talk about, it's like it seems like it came out of the blue, and yet now you've got a nonprofit, and look at what you're doing with it.
Well, we're trying. We're trying. So the nonprofit I run, I guess I didn't say the name, is the Sheck Foundation, or STEMM and Cancer Health Equity. And what we really are working to do is to increase STEM workforce diversity and to improve outcomes for underserved populations navigating the cancer care continuum. If you put that in a structural level, what we're trying to do is really get more diverse kids to see themselves in STEM fields at early ages, helping them navigate those degrees and degree transitions. Because often when you're first gen or low income, you don't even know that there's a school, or if there's a grad school, or there's a postdoc. And so how do you navigate degrees and career transition if you don't even know what's available to you? So trying to move and remove some of the, sometimes it's barrier, sometimes it's just lack of knowledge, so that you can go and be in a space that allows you to excel. And then if we get you in the workforce, and hopefully we can get more people working on research that impacts underserved populations navigating disease, because there's just so many disparities and inequities. And when you have a workforce that doesn't reflect the people with these diseases, then you keep having bias that happens, whether it's in lack of research or lack of caring for these populations. And then there's nuance in care that is just missed. So we want to get people in the workforce so they can help remove some of these barriers. But on the flip side of that, it's how do people engage and access information for care? And so 1 week, just looking at what my family dealt with, you go to the doc and they say, oh, well, read this thing that's on my chart, page 5 of my chart. Like, most patients are not going to get to page 5 to read some instruction, because they're not going to get past the jargon on page 1 and 2. So why can't you explain this stuff to people and take the time to talk to them? And so I said our solution is work on creating infographics to break down and explain medical terminology and cancer terminology. And then our other big thing is really giving people the resources to navigate the disease. So in one case, we particularly do a lot of stuff in lung cancer, and that's my specialty, where I just saw that there was little information for Black and Hispanic patients and populations. They often aren't seen in materials, they aren't shown on websites and leadership. So then why would they engage with information that doesn't even reflect their lived experience? So we work on trying to change that paradigm by, working on lung cancer stuff for them. And we run a lung cancer conference annually every year that focuses on solutions, which we just had last week. So if I look like a zombie, that is why.
You're doing great, and I love the aspect that you talk about in terms of STEM and getting that out to students, because too often, you're right, they're not, the students aren't learning. The kids don't even know it exists. One of the things, I happened to be in China a number of years ago, and I remember seeing in one of the malls. I mean, talk about a place that has big malls. But there was actually a STEM store, as it were, or class space, and it's what it said. It said STEM on it. Sometimes you see STEM, sometimes you see STEAM. It depends on if they're throwing in the arts or not.
Yep.
But it's there in the middle of China, in one of the larger cities. So it's like students get a chance to see it, and I love it here, because it's just like a lot of girls aren't told to go into math and science and stuff, and it's like that's their interest. They really have the passion, but if nobody's letting them know that they can, if they're not seeing others, like you said, if you don't see the people living those experiences, how can you know that you can?
That's exactly the point. Growing up in Detroit, where I grew up, we saw hardly ever any people in science fields, but I was just stubborn and hard headed. So I was just going to do. But I said, so what can we do to start changing some of this experience? So we do daily posts for Black History Month and Hispanic Heritage Month, just to highlight different people. I still have a lot of friends that are teachers, so I go to speak at career days, science days. I'll talk about study abroad, student loans, whatever you want me to say about, I can talk about, because it's how do you open doors? Because often it's dependent, especially if you're in the US, society is good at telling you what you can't do, but I believe in hoping unlock doors so you know what you can do.
Oh, I love that, and that we need more of that, quite frankly, because you're right. There's too much of what you can't do, and too many people that they're like trying to show what they did, and you can't even trust if they really did it or not, because in
Mhm.
social media, it's like anything goes. But when you can show students that what they can do, how are you really reaching the students to get them into it?
Now, because of where we are at stage wise, I can't do what I really would love to do, which is to
Okay.
go do science demos and science camps. We just don't have that kind of funding yet or money, and I'm still a party of one. So I still have to do it through invitations to speak and present. So like it was pretty cool. Last year I got to speak it to NYU Lagone. They asked me, they have a thing called College and Career Lab. So they have some underrepresented kids that are, have high aptitude, and they have speakers come once a month, I believe, and speak. You're there for like 2 to 3 hours, and you do like a 20-minute presentation on like just your background. Then you do 20 minutes on like the science or something you've done research wise, and then you develop an event for them. So that was pretty cool because I got to help them think about designing an event, sort of mimicking my lung cancer summit. But I just said, when you think about planning something, like you have to think of what are you going to do? What's the topic? What kind of speakers do you want? What are your demographics? What's the location or locations? What are you trying to spend? And then, what are your readouts and how are you going to assess it? So the kids, they found that very interactive. And I had to do that on the fly because I was like, what exercise am I going to create? And then it came to me on the fly. So that's pretty fascinating. But in an ideal world, I would have like a facility to just develop stuff. Or we have something in New York called the Bio Bus, which is actually pretty cool. They have science demo and experiments on the bus. I still have not gone on the Bio Bus, but that is on my to-do list.
Okay, that sounds like a fun thing. So I can't wait to find out what it was really like once you finally get on that bus.
I know. I may never come off the bus. Like, what? Nope.
You may end up being on the bus and going, hey, have you thought about doing this and this and this and
Yep.
this? Like,
Yep.
oh, great. Now we got to add a trailer to the bus.
Yep, exactly. But we also have started, we have not aired it yet. We have also started a podcast called Microscopes to Moonshots, Real Stories in STEM. So we are interviewing people that are in STEM careers or have left STEM careers just to sort of get their story, how they got interested in science, what they did, what their training was like, what's a day in the life like. But we just started recording. So we have one episode. So we're going to record a few more and then we're going to start airing those. And so that's one of the other ways we can get, where I can't get to you, that we can get you to hear it early. And I have enough friends that are teachers, we can disseminate it.
Okay, now you got me thinking, because with stories, and I don't know what's out there because it's still kind of new to me thinking about this, but I could see one option would be books for kids and how to either take some of those stories and create books for that, or just find a way to create some books depending on age groups that you want to target.
Yep.
And hitting those targets, because I don't know what's really out there for it. I'm sure there's probably something, but the question is how everybody's going to do things differently. And it's like, how do you want to make sure that you get that information to the students who need to see it?
Yep. And, in my thing, at least based on my experience, roughly if you catch kids around, at least inner city kids around third grade, you have a good chance of making an impression on them. And if they have an aptitude or interest in science, you can still probably get them to pick up science. But if you wait till later than that, they're going to start picking up other things and have no interest. So it's not about trying to make kids go into STEM. It's just trying to foster the interest of those that might want to go into STEM. So the podcast is targeted for basically all ages, pretty much 5 and up, because we try to keep the conversations at basic level so you can understand what it's really like to just navigate a field. So that is not a series where I do technical stuff, because if you've seen enough of me, I can do very technical. so we keep away from the technical on that podcast.
Well, that's basically understanding your audience, which is the most important aspect of that. So, I mean, quite frankly, this is why I loved having you on, because in many ways you are going from boxes to butterflies. You are going from kind of what everybody is thinking should happen to just move beyond the box, do something that is different, and you're doing that. And being able to have these opportunities for students, it's a big deal. I mean, my brain is going with all kinds of different ideas of what you can do. But, also understanding is like, understand there's limitations to everything as well.
Yep. And I love that this background actually looks like it's my real apartment. That never happens. It looks like this.
Yeah, but I've noticed too, it's like everybody's got that same apartment.
Hey, let's not mention that part. Let's not mention that.
It's always something when you get on a Zoom call and you've got 5 people with the same background.
Yeah.
Are you guys in the same room?
Yeah, who's breaking in my apartment?
But yeah, it's definitely. I love what you're doing, and you said that you had this nonprofit now for what, 2 years?
Yep, we launched roughly August of 2023.
Okay.
So been lots of growing pains and lots of ups and downs as expected, but the things we've accomplished. We finally got our logo registered. We got the word mark and logo registered as a trademark. We finally, we have the website, we have content. We're slowly getting out infographics on medical information. We finally started one of the lung cancer webinar series, which is now monthly. It's called Just Breathe, Checking on Lung Cancer. And so we just have wide ranging discussions. They could be patients, researchers, clinicians about something in lung cancer and just what you could learn, whether it's treatment, diagnosis, patient experience. So we're covering that. And then we have our lung cancer summit, which is, like I said, every year. That's my big event.
And where is it, in the same place every year, or do you move it around?
Year one, it was in Atlanta. Year two was just north of Atlanta. And the third summit was just this past Thursday to Saturday at the University of Illinois, Chicago. So we were in Chicago for the summit. And this year's theme was navigating a cancer care continuum. So, and what I really liked about this year's conference, well, we always make it focus on solutions that people are creating that remove barriers to care or access to care for diverse, underserved, or marginalized groups. And we always make sure we bring patients, caregivers, and survivors to the event and make sure they're in the same space with the researchers, clinicians, pulmonologists, surgeons, hospital systems, payers, and pharma for two reasons. One, we want the patients to be able to learn more about the disease, learn how they can advocate, and learn who is actually working on their behalf, because often they don't see anyone or know anyone that can help them. So this may be able to help them locally, or they may be able to refer a friend somewhere else. Oh, I saw this doctor who's really good at working with our people. So here you should reach out to this to get the help, because often they're ignored. And on the other hand, we bring the different stakeholders in to talk about what they're doing, whether it's in clinical trials or translational research or policy, et cetera, that are making a difference and removing some of these barriers. And then by bringing both of these groups, technically all these groups in the same space, you then get rid of those silos of communication where it's only a patient event, or it's only a researcher event, or it's only a clinician event. You still don't get that cross-talk. But when you're at my event, you see we're really vested in those communities, and we make sure, because that's something, a requirement of mine, that we have every session and panel has diverse representation. I do not believe in, you cannot work with underserved populations if you don't have people that are at least from those populations. And, and you can't tell me you can't find those people. That means if you can't find the people that can speak, you're not looking hard enough, or you aren't really trying.
Right. And you have to have that diversity because it's different for everybody. And if you get just one group in there, they're only looking at themselves and not everybody else. So I love that you have that. And I love the fact that you're bringing in a whole collection of people, because I feel like a lot of conferences only focus on one aspect of an issue, and then that's all you see, and all they're talking about is what they're doing on this. It's pharma, or it's in the clinic, or it's whatever. But to have everybody there, have a sample of everybody, and be able to see who's, and hear from everybody across the spectrum makes much more difference, because then people are thinking more when they see somebody and they see an issue. Hopefully they'll be thinking more diverse in terms of what the issues are and how to best fight it.
Yep. And that's what we do, try to educate and empower. And in this year, it was very challenging to put the conference on because I've had a very harrowing year. It's just not been a great year for me, health-wise or fundraising-wise, because, I had an ankle fracture earlier, literally end of last year, going into this year, was in a boot for 7 weeks. Had my mom die, so I had to pull out a retirement account to bury her in February on one foot. And then I had the surgery in March, and then had to deal with the medical racism. So basically my first 5 months of the year were lost because I was just in too much pain. Like literally I couldn't write grants, and I'm just like, so all we could do is try to get the summit out, and we put together as great a summit as we could. And the people, and The only thing that's keeping me going is one of the patients came up to me crying that I've never seen an event like this. How do you bring all these people together? How do you do it? And I'm like, it's not me. I just credit to the people that just believe in what I'm trying to do. I always give credit to the people. I never like to take credit. I'm just a convener.
Well, I love that, and I get it too. I mean, for you have the issues that you're going through. I know what it's like to have to feel like you've lost a lot of time because of something in life that just whacks you backwards. And then being able to do what you did is amazing, because you've made sure that the summit still is there, that you're having the conference, and just what, it's a full 3 days or two and a
Two,
half.
it's like 2 full days in. Like we have a speakers dinner the day before. So for
Okay.
all our speakers and moderators, we just have a dinner so they can just network and meet. Because we keep some of the same people. We try to rotate in new people every year. So it's just a really relaxed environment. And then we know that's our relaxing day. Then we get down to the business.
Oh, I like that too, because that's another aspect of diversity. If you can get a variety of people coming in and having those conversations. And I love the story that you just had right now of somebody coming up to you and just going, wow, how did you do this? Because it sounds like they feel seen and heard, and they can find somebody to talk to that's going to listen as opposed to pretend to listen.
Yeah, pretend to listen or dictate. That's often what happens. And then you're like, I just want, you don't have to be my best friend, you don't have to be my buddy, but I just want you to actually listen and understand and try to empathize. And we've lost so much empathy and patience because we're just bombarded with negative imagery and silliness, and you just actually want to just hide under a pillow or something. Not suffocate yourself, but just hide under a pillow. So let me just make that clear. We're not trying to kill ourselves.
Well, dear sis is here now, so, and as
Hey,
usual,
Dr. Leland.
she's always says this. I swear, she's always saying this one.
Yep.
But it's great to have her here too. And oh, Lisa's here. And hopefully, Lisa, you're not in the midst of hurricane issues. I'm not quite sure where you're at compared to Jamaica, because I think you're in Trinidad and Tobago, but hopefully you're in a safe place. Um, been thinking about you for that, because I know this is not a good season for some. Um, but yeah, as you talk about this, and I love I love what you're doing, quite frankly, across all of this. And the piece that I think really jumps out at me to explore more is understanding the experience, that people are able to not only share their experience, but listen to the experience of others, compare and see what's similar, and see what's different, and think about why it might be different, whether it's because of race, because of gender, because of whatever reason. Um, maybe it's like being neurodiverse makes a difference. I don't know. Just throwing that out.
I
But
have the neurodiversity down. I got the ADHD, so I
don't
bring the weirdness to the party.
don't worry. I'm in that spot too. So it's like, yeah, I know what that's like. Totally understand it. And it's like there's probably others in there too. It's like I got that one, but I think I got others too. Um, but that's just it. Being able to see all of this and have that lived experience, because I like to talk about the importance of lived experience. When I talk about these boxes that we get put in, it's because people think they just take a look at us and say, this is the box you belong in. And they lump everybody in it and think they're all the same, when they could put me in a specific box. And it's like, yeah, maybe, but I don't belong in that box. It's not my
Yep.
box. I never fit that box. And so having lived experience, and for people to say, to try and say, this is who and what you are, and what I got tired of being told who and what I am, what I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to do. And that's just others putting me in a box that I don't belong in, when the reality is I love hearing the experience, because my experience, nobody cares about my experience when they stick me in a box. The same thing is going to happen across the board. So how do you find a way to get the experience accepted by those who might be having a little difficulty doing that?
You know, because so many people put you in a box. If they don't want you to get out the box, they will do everything to keep you. Your job in life is to just move the box or knock it over or throw it on them. Just forge your own path. If you wait for approval and acceptance, you will spend a lot of time miserable and suffering and in agony. So, and you just have to figure out what's your comfort level and what puts you at peace, and be content being the outlier, for lack of a better term. I mean, I dealt with that when I had my surgery for my foot. I had no issue with the surgeon. Me and the podiatrist had a great discussion. We had a comprehensive plan ready post surgery. Little did I know that, because at the time I'm still on Medicaid, because when you run a nonprofit, you're dirt broke. The surgeon and I had a plan. He knew I had a biomechanics background, and I said I just want skilled nursing because I live alone. You can't really do anything if you're supposed to be non-weight bearing for 7 weeks after surgery, and you have extreme pain, any movement to the foot, and you're on a scooter on one leg, and you have both other hands on a walker or handlebars. So you're only on one foot and a ton of pain. So you can't cook, you can't clean, you can't wash, you can't really go anywhere. And hospital staff decided, oh, poor Black and on Medicaid, that they tried to push me out the hospital early. They lied, and my medical record said I had no pain and could ambulate. Now, mind you, I'm getting Percocets every 4 to 6 hours for like a month. But somehow this physical therapist says patient has no pain and can ambulate. And then you have the hospitalist say, oh, what is your ability to pay for skilled nursing? Like, that is not your job or function to ask that. Like, your job is to navigate care. But I learned some things from that. Like, if they did that to me, who knows how to advocate? And the surgeon was pretty incensed because he knew what he wanted and they just blocked it. And because they blocked it, insurance wouldn't approve it. I just think, what are they doing to all the other underserved patients that are poor, Black, and on Medicaid that don't even know they have rights? So I went on and made a series on our YouTube channel, YouTube/at STEMMCHEQ, that described the whole cascade of what happened and what patients can do. Because, you have to be able to file with the Joint Commission on Hospital Accreditation. You have to file with the state, well, in New York, you file with the State Department of Education. When your physical therapist in particular is doing not their guidelines, so you file a complaint with them. I filed with leadership at the hospital, and they still gave me pathetic responses and responded, Mr. Manley, when I wrote my letter as Dr. Manley, said, you will not dismiss my degree and title. And you just put all this and file with insurance. I filed everything. And so I just walk through and teach people what to do, because I still feel bad. Like, I got through it somehow, even though I still fail the next day, but that's a whole nother story. But how many other people are getting pushed out of the hospital early just because of their race, ethnicity, income? And it doesn't just happen to us with PhDs. If you look, it happens to Black patients a lot, and we just don't hear, or the majority don't want to hear about it. But you think about Serena Williams, where she was in birth and almost died. You have Venus Williams with her fibroids. But you think this happens across the board way too much in the history of medical stuff, and how it was designed to really do exploitation without informed consent. So it's a sort of continuous arc and where we've been, but we just have to keep fighting and trying to educate people about what to do when you're facing systems that don't want you to be treated with respect, and how do you try to own your dignity and keep it.
Yeah, I like that, in that we need more of that. We need more of that ability to push back, and there's another piece of education that needs to be out there. to let people know that they do have more rights than they might think. And the problem is, I think, like you said, a lot of people, they just don't know. They don't, if you don't know what you don't know, then
Exactly.
how can you? Yeah, and like CJ's up again.
And so my goal is to help to educate, empower, uplift. I'm everyone else's biggest champion. Like, how can I help you get where you want to go, either professionally, or how do I help you navigate your medical resources or your care so you actually get what you're entitled to?
I almost see that as another piece of your nonprofit focus, building that piece up and figuring out the best approach to make sure that you cover as many people as possible.
Yep, and that's the slow moving piece, because we gotta get the webinars and infographics. Like, we gotta, there's so many things I want to do, but we have to just stay small in scale and scope, because I'm still a party of one.
There we go. CJ's got a question for you. What do you think we need to get your effort amplified?
Just probably, I need to get more funders. I need volunteers. I probably need some more board members. I just need, more people being aware of the stuff I'm doing, and family officers, if you know any.
Yeah, because it's we need this much more amplified. That's why when I told you my brain was going and it's like you're talking ADHD, it's like, yeah, that's exactly what's going on. I'm sure that's probably what would be your biggest the biggest thing you have to hurdle as you move forward?
Biggest hurdle right now, the biggest hurdle is funding. It is big. It's been funding. It is the biggest hurdle has been the funding. I know how to write grants. I worked at the AACR in the foundation. I know how to get to pharma portals, but it's, identifying the other grants and then finding time to write them. That's been the big time. I wouldn't say time drain. This is where I don't have hours to commit, because when you run a website and you're out speaking and you're out presenting, then you're doing marketing and branding, and then you're like, where are, and there's only so many hours in a day, and you sort of, okay, keep this in scale and scope. But our biggest thing, we need help, social media. We need help with grant identification, grant writing. I managed to craft a grant writer that I can plug in my grants as a knowledge base, which has made my life a little bit easier. But I only learned that about 3 weeks ago. So, but this is where we are.
Yeah, well, CJ's there. It's like, we can be your board, help you find volunteers. Just need more information. And yes, she has a grant bot.
Tell CJ I will reach out to her.
Oh, she's listening to you right now. I mean, she's there.
CJ, you actually should answer one of my emails too while we're thinking about it. I know you're popular. Don't forget about the little guy.
Oh no, she's not forgetting. I mean, we were both excited for this, and it's like, yes, she's listening. But she's there. She's there.
I see.
And that's just it. It's especially when we find things like this. These are the things we like. We like to try and find those ways to help it grow, help it move to the next, as CJ would say, level up. For me, it's move beyond the box, to take those steps beyond the box and do what we're supposed to, do what we can do.
Yep, you just have to be comfortable in your own skin and comfortable with being, for lack of a better term, the outsider. But most of us spend our whole lives being an outsider anyway. So just embrace that and go, and then find a crew that supports and supports and understands you. It just says go and sees the star you are. Don't bother with people that are just going to hold you back. Just, life's too short. Do what makes you happy and make a difference.
And she's like, yeah, I know exactly what she means there. It's like, and hopefully I will be doing the same thing at some point. But yeah,
Oh, thanks, CJ.
because we understand what is at stake here, and there's a lot at stake. Really, there's so many people that they need to see it. They need to know it on both sides. Like, which is why I love your conference setup, because you're bringing in the spectrum, like you said, diversity. Um,
Yep, I bring the diversity spectrum, but I bring the different stakeholders. I've been, surgeons, and like someone's like, you need to add a few more tumor boards and you'll get more pharma. I'm like, I can add more tumor boards. It's a conference I keep small and in scale. We had about, surprisingly, we still had 100 people this year, which was shocking considering that some people were worried about travel with not TSA, but with the air traffic control, and some people were worried about ICE in Chicago. So we had a lot of last minute hurdles with this conference this year that I have never had dealt with before. But you just have to, as you know, as an ADHD person, you have to prepare for the worst, and then you just, and everything, when everyone else stresses, then you're like, this is my moment.
well, and I'm glad it was successful, because that's how it grows. Because now everybody that was there, they're going back home and probably passing the word to others who start thinking about, what's next year going to be like.
Yep. And so we'll still be posting a lot of the pictures from the summit, because I'm still doing my social media posts. I said, look, I'll get them all out by the end of the week, but I'm doing what I can. But the only downside of when you run the event, you don't really have time to take notes, because you are, running both rooms, making sure AV checks. So you're like, I got a picture of the speaker. Hey, speaker. So it's like,
yeah, I get that. I've seen my share of conferences, and been involved with putting a few type of events together, and I get it, especially once you're involved with it. It becomes you lose that time, and you have to try and figure out who's taking the photos, because you can't take all the photos.
yep.
And how do you make sure that you're getting the information, what's being recorded, and how much of that can you catch up on that you missed because you were either in a different room, or you're behind the scenes for hours at a time.
Yeah. Next year, hopefully, we might have enough funding that we'll be able to record it. We've been doing it in person, because that's just been, because the reason we had it in person is to do the work that I'm doing. We really want people in the same space. You can't really build agency, worth, belonging, if all the people aren't in the same room. That doesn't mean I'm against virtual events, but when you're trying to work with an underserved group, they actually really need to see you and have that connection and touch, and you just can't manufacture that virtually.
Well, in a virtual, it becomes, I mean, there's ways to do it, but how are you going to set those breakout rooms, or how are you going to find the opportunities for people to connect and actually talk? There's no guarantee it's going to happen in a virtual space, whereas when you're in the space, people have more opportunity to step in and start having these conversations, and they're important conversations to have.
And what I have learned now, or maybe it's just my ADHD, I used to be all attentive for virtual like conferences. Now it's, unless I have to pay attention, I hate to admit it, but then I'm doing other stuff I need to do, and so I'm less engaged. And then that means you still aren't capturing what you need to. I'm not saying it happens for all, but for me, it's just, I actually get better things out of meetings now if I go. Doesn't mean I want to spend all the money, but my attention span is just too distracted if I'm sitting at home now.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Especially having ADHD is like, I get that very much. You try to focus, but you can only go so far. Like something goes across the window, it's like, oh, I wonder what that was. And the next thing you know, you've lost
Yep.
whatever is.
And I've been off my med for about 5 months, so it has been fun.
Yeah.
My dosage is out of order and it keeps being out of order. And I'm like, okay, fine. We're just gonna work on some coping mechanisms, but we just push on.
Yeah. So I totally get that.
And I smile before CJ tells us to smile again.
Yeah, with her, you just never know what's gonna happen.
Yep, exactly.
But as we kind of get towards the end of everything, I'm curious, where do you see this going? Where do you want this to go? What are your goals going forward?
The goals for the conference or the goals for the nonprofit?
Let's talk the conference first and then the nonprofit.
Oh, the conference. Oh, this is great. I really think this will be the premier event in lung cancer for those really working with diverse and underserved populations. And I just want to make it clear that just because we focus on diverse and underserved, that does not mean the information does not apply or is applicable to everyone else. We have people from across the spectrum. We had the American Indian Cancer Foundation last year. We had EGFR resistors speak this year. We had a radon group speak this year. We had a session on veterans navigating lung cancer and the challenges, and sort of that was a very fascinating talk because depending on what the government sets as a distance from land would tell if your exposure to something is considered eligible for government coverage or not. That was actually very fascinating. But the goal is really just to increase our number of physicians, but really increase our number of patients. And we make that conference free for patients, caregivers, and survivors. But by building that conference, then we slowly will build up our patient population. And so that's the ultimate goal, is to really start building our own patient population for our patient webinars, which we hope to start. Our patient meetup, we hope to start maybe next year, mid to late next year. We're trying to build to that. As far as the rest of the nonprofit, just keep getting out the information on the medical and cancer information. We want to really start building out a lung cancer page specifically targeted towards underserved populations, so they can see materials and diverse representation and people that look like them, so they can feel part of the materials they're reading. And then as we keep doing the STEM stuff, we'll keep doing our podcast series. We'll keep doing our Black History Month and Hispanic Heritage Month posts, and we'll just have to stay put on those and keep that steady, and develop our mentorship and training programs. But that's more for universities or grad schools that want to help their students navigate those next steps. So that's more of a consulting service.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot there and a lot to make happen. So it's gonna be fun watching it grow.
Yes. Fun or exhilarating or exhausting or the combination of the three.
Combination. Probably the combination for the next couple of years, but as long as you've got the exhilarating and the excitement in there,
Yep.
It makes all the difference in the world. And there's just so much, because it is such an important topic. And I love the fact that you start listing out the different groups who have been there, and to keep making sure that they're there, because it's different for everyone. And when you talk about vets, I remember when I was when I had a platoon, I had a lot of my soldiers would say, "Oh, I only smoke during drill." It's like, sure you do. Okay, I'll believe that. Because I did. I had a lot of them that was their comments. Like, "Oh, I don't smoke except at drill." And I'm thinking, I just don't see how that's possible.
Originally, tobacco was given to troops, and that was their way of sort of coping with being away from home and stuff. And then what you found with the black troops is that they ended up liking menthol. And then that's how eventually how menthol started getting added, is it kept blacks addicted. So then that became entrenched in black communities. But yep, tobacco has a big role in military life. I'm not saying that good or bad, but it's just a fact of nature. It's just a fact.
It is a fact. And for a lot of them too, it's like they have to have that smoke break. It's I remember watching even fellow officers that it's like, I'm gonna go have a smoke break. So
Yeah.
I just would stand upwind of them when I was outside
Yep.
during the smoke break, so I didn't have to inhale.
Yep.
Because they definitely had, um, there were some of them. It's like I swear they were going through a pack a day. It's like, oh, you're going outside again, huh?
But we should be more worried about all the people that are vaping, because there are way more carcinogens and products and vape pens than are even into cigarettes. And some of the products in there were only meant to be ingested, not inhaled. And and then when you're putting these things and you're aerosolizing them and heating them up, they're going even deeper into the lung cavity. So I hate to say this, I don't usually speak in certainties because I'm a scientist, but I would say give it about maybe 5 to 10 more years, we'll probably start seeing a lot more lung cancer in those that are younger, primarily due to history of vaping. But vaping is not right now included in the screening guidelines for lung cancer. It's really just based on smoking pack history. But I would say give it about 10 years or so, and we're going to unfortunately start seeing a lot more, because we're already seeing popcorn lung and stuff, and it's just so doing so much more damage. And in New York, we see it's like the 80s, where they used to have liquor stores on every corner. Well, here you like every block or every other block, you see multiple weed shops. You're like, how many of these do we need? And then they have all this marketing towards like with anime characters and stuff and making it more fun and cool. I'm like, are we reliving? We are reliving an era?
Yeah, we're reliving an era. And I mean, I always heard people saying vaping was supposed to be healthier than smoking. As I didn't see it. And now listening to you, it's like, yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. So
So
just be cautious and just try to protect your health. And marketing. People can market stuff all kind of ways to make you think it's better, but when they're usually doing smoke and mirrors, no pun intended. Wow, that is really a bad pun. They're really just trying to conceal stuff.
it's okay. It's okay. I remember I saw a picture of a duck this morning that was in cold weather, so it looked, somebody took a perfect picture and it looked like the duck was smoking. Because the steam from the breath just looked like smoke coming out of
Yeah.
its
Oh
bill.
my God, that is funny.
Yeah, it was. But as we're at the end of this, I want to make sure that you get the last word in. And so if there's anything that you want to, any last gold nuggets you want to drop, or make sure that people know how to reach you, I want to make sure you get that chance.
Sure. Just my big thing is be bold, be independent, be brave. Don't let people put you in boxes. It's okay being outside the box and just being your own person. If you're trying to find an org, we are found at SCHEQ.org on our website. If you want to find us on social media, even though we're SHEQ, you will find us under the letters STEMMCHEQ. It was the only way I could keep the acronym and keep the letters and keep stuff. So that's how you can find us on our social media pages. And, we have a volunteer page and a donate page if you want to contribute to our mission and cause. And I think those are the core things I want to say, and just keep being helpful and make sure everyone else gets along in life if you can.
Awesome. It was great having you on. I'm so happy you were able to be here. And for everybody that was here or everybody that's on Team Replay, I hope you have a great day, and I plan on seeing you next week.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.